Hello, welcome to Gardener's World. Now, October here at Longmeadow often is wet, but if you can find a dry moment to prune any climbing roses you have, it's a really good time of year to do it. This climbing rose is called Madame Alfred Carrier. And like all climbing roses, it produces those flowers on new shoots. So at this time of year, when it's finished flowering, cut it back, leaving a nice structure. You can see I'm starting to establish a good framework left behind on the wall, and from that framework, the side shoots will grow like mad next spring and summer, and all of them will be covered in flowers. Coming up on today's programme, Joe and Flo help transform a neglected patch of ground into a community garden in Bristol.
This is the best day of my life.
Wow!
Garden historian Adverley Richmond explores the fascinating history behind Britain's only surviving Rococo garden.
The owner, Benjamin Hyatt, took a load of garden elements and squashed them into a small space in true Rococo style.
And hopefully the rain will hold off, because later on, Rachel is coming here to Longmeadow to pay me a visit. Now is a really good time of year to move almost any plant, whether it's a tree, a shrub, a hedge, a herbaceous plant. The soil is still warm, the roots can get established, and then next spring, when the growth begins in earnest, there's a better root system to support that growth. Now, I've got a number of plants I want to move and rearrange, and I've got too many hostas in here. Now, the other advantage of moving now is you can see the scale of the plant you're moving. Whereas if you do it in spring when it's died right back, you always forget how big it is. So I'm just going to chop down. If you're dividing hostas, be brave. Just go for it. Chop hard. There we go. The key thing is to get as much root as possible. Now, there we go. See, that's got a nice root on it. It's pretty heavy. By the way, when I say you can move almost any plant, I would discount grasses. Don't move grasses now. Wait till next spring and even late spring, till the soil is actively warm to touch and stays warm for a number of months, because otherwise there's a real risk of them rotting. Now, if you think that's dramatic, wait till you see what I'm going to move next. Tucked away at the back of the borders around the pond, I've got a couple of tree ferns. And of course, what's happened is that the viburnum and the cherry have grown since I planted them. So they're obscured. And what's the point of having a healthy, beautiful plant if you can't see it? You can move tree ferns relatively easily because there are some roots under the ground, and when you dig it up, you should take as much of those as possible. But the vast majority are on the outside of the trunk. Right, I've loosened that very easily. The fronds will die right back when winter comes, but I'm going to fold them up for the moment for transportation because I don't want to damage them. Right, now we'll lever this out the ground. There we go. Right, I will take these to their new home. But before I do that, let's join Joe and Flo, because this year they have been helping out with community projects right across the country. And this week they've gone down to Bristol, to Eastville Park, where they are kick-starting a new community garden with a lot of eager helpers.
Nice, he's got it! Flo!
Today, Joe and I are giving a helping hand to a local community in Bristol.
Yeah, and this old bowling green is one of the reasons we're here. Right, it's my turn. I've always wanted to do this.
Go on. Try and beat me.
Not bad, not bad.
This historic club is over 100 years old. So along with local volunteers and some of the gentlemen from the green, we're here to breathe new life into the space with a shared community garden.
Come on, lads. We need your help. Come on.
Let's go.
Let's go.
This unloved patch is part of Eastville Park in inner city Bristol. The group of local people have got big ambitions to turn this into a welcoming green space for the whole community.
And if we want to transform this plot in a day, we're definitely going to need some help from this enthusiastic lot. Looks like the troops are armed and ready for action. Andy G is one of the local residents and the powerhouse behind this project.
Yeah, they're going to work nicely, those. Yeah. So, Andy, what motivates you? Why do you want to make this project happen?
The community desperately needs a space in the park where we can socialise, where we can have activities. Well, the motivation really is trying to preserve the bowling club. They've been here for over 100 years. The game's changing. The membership is virtually on the floor. What we want to do is get back to those days when the whole family would be here. We can get those people back in, and we can offer so much more than just a game of bowls. I think everything depends on getting people in, because that's the only way it's going to survive.
Now, there's one really obvious feature that we can't ignore, this Nissan hut. This is a clubhouse, and it's already getting a lick of paint, but the hope is to turn it into a community club and cafe.
Tea, coffee, Flo, there you are.
Yes, I'm here. It's great.
Oh, it's a fantastic
Yeah.
space. It's quite a big space.
Yes.
I think we're going to have to concentrate our efforts on a few key elements.
OK.
The fence, you know, it's not the most attractive thing, but I think rather than just trying to cover it, I think we should just detract from it and sort of keep the view nice and open, actually, into the park.
Yeah.
Maybe a large raised bed
Right.
to sort of set them on their way, to help break it up and just get them growing.
Mm-hmm. And some seating. You always need some seating, do you know what I mean? I can have a look around to see if there's anything we can use to upcycle.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
First up, we're getting started on the raised bed. We've got scaffold boards to create the basic frame, and we're going big. We want to create some instant impact and create a useful growing area for all the people that will use the garden.
Scaffold boards are really cheap, simple to get hold of, and easy to cut to size. You can leave them au naturel or paint them up. But best of all, they're recycled for top eco brownie points. Or should I say greenie points.
Now, these are so easy to move around, but being gardeners, well, we don't do these things by half, so we've got over 20 of them. And we're going to use every single one of them. What's that? Oh, yes.
Thankfully today, we got the muscle power of this local team from the Parkwork project, run by Joe McKenna.
So tell us a bit about the project.
So the project's called Parkwork.
Yeah.
And the idea is that we offer like volunteering opportunities, people who are unemployed and are maybe looking to get some skills which are going to help them in finding a job.
Yep.
Can come out and work with us on projects in parks which enhance the space, but at the same time give an opportunity to learn some skills.
Yeah.
So the kind of stuff we do, like we're doing today, building raised beds, is one example. We'll be able to use this space for doing some horticulture skills training, and that it will be ongoing.
It's a total win-win situation, isn't it, for your guys, but also for the project here?
Yeah, it's great.
Do any of them play bowls?
Not yet.
These young volunteers are just some of the local people who will benefit from this garden. From artists and children to the bowling club and local residents, this will be a space for everyone. And it's a good job we've got them here today because there are loads of gorgeous plants to get into position.
While Joe is busy with them, I'm keen to tune into the artistic side of this community space.
Hi, Imogen.
Hi.
Hi.
Flo.
Can I put this down?
Yep.
Imogen Robbins has already created some colourful murals for the community garden. But today, I've got a new challenge for her.
Later on, we're going to be doing some bulb planting with some kids, but actually, you know, we're going to be planting bulbs and they're not really going to have an idea of what it's going to produce. So I've got some pictures of the crocuses and the muscari we're going to produce. And I wonder whether you could do a piece of artwork just to, you know, give a sense of what the spring holds for these bulbs when they come
that would be so nice for them.
While Imogen gets to work, there's still buckets to do in the garden. With only a day to give this project a kick-start, we're going to need all the help we can get.
We'll be joining Joe and Flo later on to see how the garden develops. Now, I've spent quite a lot of time looking for an alternative site for the tree fern. And I finally hit upon here. This part of the garden I started to plant up about 3-4 years ago and focused on shrubs and ferns. So the tree fern should work in well. And you've got slight shade, it's cool, fairly moist. And of course, what tree ferns love is temperate weather. Not too cold in winter, not too hot in summer, and certainly never too dry. Right, I have to get it in there, doing as little damage as possible, both to the plants and myself. I've pre-dug a hole. Don't bury it too much, but enough so it is really firm and won't blow over. And then the thing to do is to tread it in really firmly. That's nice and secure. Okay, that comes off. Let's let that go. Well, from here, it already feels more at home. The important thing at this point is to water it and to make sure that that trunk is absolutely saturated and not to let it dry out over the next few weeks. And of course, round about the beginning of November, I will protect this against winter cold. But as long as it stays mild, these fronds can stay open. Right, that's perfectly happy in its new home. Let's do the hostas. I have actually got a few hostas in here that I moved last year, and they seem very happy. And you can see the soil is fairly wet. We've had quite a lot of rain. Is that going to fit? Yeah, that will fit in nicely. I can just fill that back in. Now this, I will give a really good soak. That will now die right back, and then you should see signs of new growth next March or April. Now it's time to catch up with Rachel, who's just arrived.
Come on.
They say you learn more from failure than from success, so I have learned a lot from the bed that you helped me plant up.
Yes.
Which we called the dyer's bed. We did have a lot of marigolds. We collected the petals from those.
Yep.
And there were hollyhocks. The woad did what everybody said we had to watch out for.
Seeded everything.
Seeded everything.
Yeah.
Masses of seeds. The madder has been tricky. And the other thing which I've learned, and I know what you're going to say, but is that it just never looked very good.
Really, Monty? What a surprise.
Which is what you said.
I did say. I felt we should be doing it in a more business-like way and treating it as a crop.
Exactly right. It should have been in rows.
Rather than trying to make it an ornamental bed.
I mean, what I've learned is they're fascinating plants. There's lots of good reasons for growing them, but don't try and integrate them into mixed borders. So what will happen is all these will come out, and then I will replant this.
You see, an opportunity.
Exactly.
A planting
and
opportunity.
I've learned something. OK, now you may remember that when you were last here, you and I planted the verbena, I think.
We did. And I remember getting very caught up in was I spacing them correctly and so on. Look at it.
Needn't have bothered.
It's an explosion of colours. Fantastic.
The verbena has been a complete success. But we did have and planted a middle story, mainly Torbagia, but also cornflowers. But you see, the problem is the planting was suppressed by the steepers. These horsetails, these wet horsetails, just sat on them.
Flopped on everything. The Torbagia I see, and that's lovely, although the colour is so well matched to the verbena, you almost lose it a little bit.
I think that's a completely fair point. And what actually would look wonderful would be a burgundy.
Well, I think it looks glorious, and compared to the dyer's bed, it's a triumph.
Listen, I'll take that as a compliment, but the bar was set pretty low. The Paradise Garden is based upon the historical Islamic gardens that go back 3,000 years and more. But of course, we have our own long and fascinating garden history in this country. And Adderley Richmond has been to visit one of our most unusual historical gardens, which is Painswick Rococo Garden near Gloucester.
Historically, gardens have been created for all sorts of reasons, to show power, show creativity, and often just plain showing off. This one was created for enjoyment and intrigue, and to elicit a squeal of delight, all contained in a really small space. Painswick Rococo Garden was built in the 1740s when garden design was in a major transition. The biggest and most influential gardens, like Hampton Court, were flat and symmetrical with a maze of formal parterres and fountains, and everything was so rigid and serious. The Rococo style was flamboyant, it was flowery, it was eclectic, and definitely a lot more fun. At Painswick, the owner, Benjamin Hyatt, was wealthy, but not very wealthy, and he only had a 6-acre valley garden to play with. So what he did, like a lot of merchants and the nouveau riche, is that he took a load of garden elements and squashed them into a small space in true Rococo style. Painswick is the only surviving Rococo garden in the UK. It's almost completely restored by a dedicated team using a painting by the famous garden artist Thomas Robbins the Elder. There are lots of straight lines and avenues, just like at Hampton Court, and even symmetrical beds. What's really fascinating about this painting is that around the edges of this formality is a garden circuit connected by a series of buildings, all totally different. Painswick was originally Panswick, named after the god of nature, fertility, and general mischief, and his influence abounds. Buildings are hidden playfully, just out of view, and nothing is as it seems. The Red House is an early stop on the route and looks like a Gothic chapel. But also it's asymmetrical, a classic hallmark of the Rococo style. Your immediate instinct is to add another section to balance the unevenness of the structure, but they didn't do that because they wanted to play with your senses. It wasn't all they played with. Inside was used for afternoon tea, intimate late-night suppers, and all manner of other things. Stretching away from the house, there's a nod at those multiple straight avenues, because the first two are straight. But what's really exciting about this path is that It's got its wiggle on, and you are compelled to follow it. These hilly, wiggly paths must have been tricky in dainty little shoes and a big frock, but the next destination is worth it. The Exedra is the focal point of the garden, and as ever, it's not what it seems. Because the look of the garden was the most important thing, many of the structures were constructed from really flimsy materials such as wood, plaster, oiled canvas, even papier-mâché, which is one of the reasons that they didn't last very long. As Painswick has been restored, the team have carried on that tradition. This new structure is part metal and wood, but painted to look like stone, a lovely touch. Below the Exedra, there's a flower garden planted with scented lavender and nicotiana, early forms of which would have been available in the 18th century. But right next door, in the formal centre of the garden, it's veg that fills the rows, not flowers. It's an interesting twist, although there's also a vineyard which may have been more popular. My last stop is my favourite. It's a cold plunge pool fed by spring, and in theory was used only by men. In the Thomas Robbins painting, there was a changing room for the bathers to bathe nude. And over there stood a statue of Pan, whose mischievousness set the tone for what went on in there. There are many more features here, including a Doric seat, orchard, and even a hermitage, which had pretend hermits paid by the hour. The restoration here is still ongoing. The Eagle House with its zigzag paths and veg is next on the list. But already this garden is an absolute delight to behold. Walking round it puts us right back in the shoes of those mischievous, revelling 18th century visitors.
I completely share Advili's enthusiasm. I love visiting historical gardens. Now, I've left Rachel for a few minutes having a wander around the garden, but I've got a little job I want to do myself first. If you grow penstemons of any kind, now's the time to take some cuttings. And you should do it every year because they can be killed by extreme cold. So if you've got a few cuttings, it's an insurance policy. This, by the way, is a variety called George V. And you can see here, this is perfect cut material. These shoots, they haven't got flowers on them at all. They're nice, straight, strong growing, absolutely ideal. Just snip them below what's called a node, a pair of leaves. Now, as with all cuttings, we want to remove leaves because they are losing water. So if we take leaves off, that means there's less stress on the plant. There is no accurate way of knowing how much foliage to leave. If in doubt, take more off, not less. So we just pop that in perlite, which holds moisture but doesn't get soggy. It's got good drainage. And I'm putting them against the side of the pot because it dries out less than it does in the middle. I will water that, put it in the greenhouse. A little bit of bottom heat will help. And when they root, which will be in about 3 or 4 weeks' time, I will pot them on into compost individually and be planted out sort of around the middle to late spring. Now, these mature plants, I could put in the border, but bad idea because it'll be too wet and too cold. So what I'm going to do is pot them up into these bigger pots and use a very gritty compost. I will grow them on over winter, and then I will sink the whole thing, pot and all, in the soil. That means they will think that they are in much better drained soil than I can give them in the ground. Hopefully they will regrow like they are now, and then if I need to protect them over winter, I just take the whole pot out and put it in the greenhouse. Now, still to come. We meet a young gardener in Nottingham who has created a glorious container garden.
When I'm in my garden, I want to feel like I'm at a festival, that I'm having a beautiful, flamboyant time.
But first, we join Nick in a rainforest in Scotland.
Every now and again, you chance upon a garden which is so awe-inspiring, so magnificent in its scale and its ambition that it's utterly jaw-dropping. And that's certainly the case here. This is Benmore Botanic Gardens, and it's a beautiful place. But the thing that makes it truly extraordinary is that it has a very special microclimate. It has a piece of temperate rainforest, one of just a few in Europe. That's right, rainforest. And it's right here, on our doorstep. A temperate rainforest occurs in places where over 1.5 metres of rain falls consistently over the course of the year. And unlike tropical rainforests, they tend to be at mid-latitudes, outside of the tropics. And those are the exact conditions here on the west coast of Scotland, where the temperate rainforest stretches over 300 miles. Benmore Botanic Garden is home to a spectacular collection of plants, and in one corner they have an area dedicated to temperate rainforest species. Globally, temperate rainforests are even more rare than tropical rainforests. They only take up about 1% of the planet's surface. And of all the temperate rainforests in Europe, half of them occur here in the UK. "10,000 years ago, this part of Scotland was covered in huge swathes of forest, of oak, hazel and birch. Today, it still retains much of that primeval feel of these huge trees, but I'm here to look at something on a much, much smaller scale. Lichens. This temperate rainforest, with its wet, mild climate, gives them just the right conditions they need to thrive. Lichens are made up of two organisms which live in a symbiotic relationship, enabling them to survive. Usually they're a symbiosis between a fungus and an algae. The algae is protected by the fungus, but in return it photosynthesizes, provides food to the fungi. Now it's a pretty successful symbiosis because these guys have been hanging out together for over 500 million years. They occur as epiphytes, which are essentially species that use another plant as a host, but don't take anything from it. And in this temperate rainforest environment, there are some truly unique species. This lichen is Loberia, which almost looks like a white cauliflower. And this is Pseudocyphalaria intricata. It's a very rare lichen. Scotland has some of its only European strongholds. Beside me here is Sticta, and it's quite a special lichen. It has a different form of symbiosis. So instead of having algae inside the fungi, it has a cyanobacteria. Now that cyanobacteria photosynthesizes, which feeds the fungi, but it also does another special thing. It captures nitrogen from the atmosphere, which makes it available as a food to the fungi. So it really is an extraordinary symbiosis. But lichens have another useful function. Their presence can indicate air quality. Studies of lichens in places like Benmore show us that our air has been getting cleaner over the last 200 years. They're also good in a wildlife garden, as they provide a habitat and hiding places for all sorts of mini beasts. So don't be tempted to remove lichen from trees. They're doing a really special job. Benmore's temperate rainforest isn't just the perfect site for tiny organisms. It's become a vital place to help conserve Araucaria oricana, otherwise known as the monkey puzzle tree. They were named by a 19th century landowner who said it would puzzle a monkey to climb that tree. An evergreen conifer, they're under threat in the wild due to climate change and logging. Martin Gardner from Royal Botanic Garden, Edinburgh, is doing everything he can to safeguard their genetic diversity and help save the species by planting trees here at Benmore.
This is the most extraordinary landscape, and I don't think I've seen so many monkey puzzles all in one place.
Yeah, there's about 150 plants here, and it's probably the biggest population of planted monkey puzzles in the UK.
So what is it about West Coast Scotland that makes it so perfect for growing these species?
Well, there's no doubt it's the amount of rainfall that we have on the West Coast, which is here at Benmore 3 metres of rain a year. In Chile, they would be getting maybe up to 5 metres of rain.
And clearly it's very successful. These trees are thriving all around us.
They're absolutely thriving, and they will continue, and hopefully for another 150, 200 years.
Martin has a programme to plant hundreds of trees around the UK at other botanic gardens and parks, starting with 100 on site here.
Now, I must say, this soil doesn't look incredibly promising to me.
This is the sort of soil that you would find monkey puzzles on.
So, no compost.
No.
Backfill with this soil.
Subsoil.
So what sort of growth rate would you expect from this in its first couple of years?
When it gets established and its roots get into the surrounding soil, it'll start to send up a leader.
And how long do you think this will live for in this environment?
Well, the oldest trees in cultivation are well up to 200 years.
Fantastic. And how is the project here actually going to directly help the conservation issues in Chile?
This is an insurance policy, so if we lose monkey puzzle in Chile, then we have the potential here to use this breeding population to produce seed that could be used to restore the loss of the entire species in the wild.
It's been a really rare treat to spend the day in this special garden. Its unique microclimate means that it's able to support an incredibly diverse range of UK species, but it's also able to grow species that are threatened overseas. For me, though, the most special thing about this place is it's the UK's very own piece of temperate rainforest.
I was fascinated by what Nick was saying about lichens, because I get really quite regularly letters blaming lichens for problems which they haven't caused. Lichen does no harm whatsoever to its host. It's beautiful. It's interesting and fascinating to treasure it. Now, this viburnum is dying back a bit, but it's not the fault of the lichen. The reason it's dying back is because it's getting on in years. But the colour of the autumn foliage is as good as anything in the garden. And it's beginning to turn now. And before it's finished, it will turn almost dark chocolate. The burgundy colour gets so deep. By and large, things have grown okay. Since you're here, I've got a job for you.
Excellent.
These pots, which I always use for bulbs, I thought would be nice for a bulb lasagna.
A lasagna?
Yeah.
Okay.
In layers.
Okay. If this is our pot,
yes,
it's quite shallow, so maybe less of a lasagna, more of a moussaka?
Well,
maybe we'll get...
These pots, I was thinking of 3 layers.
You've gone
2
mad.
completely different colour schemes. One is really intense, rich, strong colours, and one is effectively white with a little bit of pale yellow mixed in.
Because I bought you as a present a tulip which is sort of in between. But I think I could make work.
Which one is it?
This is a lovely tulip called La Belle Époque. Big, very sumptuous double flowers with a bit of raspberry and a bit of apricot.
Brilliant. OK, you have that. Well, look, I'm going to start My basic tulip mix is garden compost, but a lot of grit.
Yeah.
And I am starting with the tulip purissima.
Beautiful tulip.
And tulips always want to go at the base of any multiple layers of bulbs. They like being planted deep. And the key thing about planting bulbs in pots is you can really pack them in.
As long as they don't touch.
No, that's exactly the only rule you need to worry about.
So you have got Cairo. Now that's a beautiful tulip.
Yes.
I love it because it's scented as well. It's single
It's that
tulip.
marmalade caramel
It's
colour,
fantastic. It's sort of almost bronze. But I've bought
You're
my ballet pop.
right.
Now, do we want to go slightly mad and just put them both in and see what happens?
You're going to go mad. I know you are. That's just the way you're that crazy wild thing that you are. Yeah. People often worry that somehow by doing these layers, the growth is going to be blocked. The tulips won't find their way up. Don't worry, it'll happen. Believe you me.
It's amazing that, isn't it? Even when you do really a lot of layers, they just
they work
find their way through.
So, what are you going to go for your next layer?
So, let's do hyacinth. This is Peter Stuyvesant. This is really vivid.
It's a good blue.
Ultramarine blue, isn't it? So I think that would be great.
I've got daffodil. This one is WP Milner.
Oh, I love that one. That's a very old variety.
Yeah, I've not grown it before. It's worth pointing out that these bags are made out of potato starch and can go on the compost heap.
Isn't that brilliant?
So, 3 cheers for that. So I've got a lot of daffs in here.
I think you've got enough in there.
OK,
I think they're almost touching.
Well, yeah.
Not that I'm worried or anything that you'll have a better display than my.
Well, I think you should be, because that's the way it's going. Not that I'm at all competitive about anything.
So I'm heading on, because I'm going to do mascari now.
Right.
For my final layer, the grape hyacinth, that real intense blue. And this is Armeniacum. I have to say, this is one of my favourite gardening activities, and it's because my father grew masses of bulbs every year in pots. And so for me, it just takes me. I'm right back there as a little girl, you know, helping him, doing exactly what I'm doing now. So I just feel it's very special for me.
Now, last time you were here, you had come through a really difficult year.
I'm feeling fine, and I have been busy, but I have tried very hard to focus on positives that you can take out of an awful situation, bearing in mind that many, many people go through far worse things. And, you know, I don't take things quite so seriously. With gardening, for example, I feel very... It doesn't have to be perfect. You know, I can enjoy it, I can have fun with it, and if it's not all exactly what I'd hoped, it's OK. It's you know, just thank goodness for gardening. Honestly, really, thank goodness I was already a gardener, because it's just been the saving of me in so many ways. I feel like it's looking after me now, rather than me looking after plants.
It's an interesting thought.
It's been a reversal.
I mean, I know that very strongly. Times when I need the garden and it looks after me.
Exactly.
You know? So next stage is to put some soil over the top of that, which I will do. Normally with a pot, I like to leave an inch or so for watering, and then I put grit on top. Now, the virtue of grit is twofold. One, it looks nice, and if you water this or it rains, you can get dirt from the compost spoiling the flowers and spoiling the petals. And the big enemy of pots like this is getting too wet. So if you put them outside, put them somewhere which is relatively sheltered from the rain, or ideally, if you can, put them under glass, but with open sides.
Sometimes I group them all together and put some chicken wire over the whole thing, because a few years ago, they were raided by squirrels and mice, and it was like there'd been a rave, you know, a wild party. They were all over the ground.
We've never had that, but I would be devastated if that was the case.
Yes.
That is a very, very good point. Now, we use a lot of pots here at Longmeadow as part of the garden. But I know that for many people, they don't have a garden. And we went to Nottingham to visit a young gardener who has created a superb garden entirely using containers.
I love pots because I don't have a choice, really. I wish there was a choice, but the lovely thing about a pot is you automatically have height. So that means a sunflower or dahlia is going to reach 10 foot. So you're very quickly growing a jungle which can properly engulf you. I'm Arthur Parkinson. I'm a florist and a writer, and I garden at home. I garden for colour and I garden for cut flowers, but not in a conventional way because we don't have any soil to dig into. Instead, it's all in containers. The front yard is only about 3 metres square, but it gets the sun, so the dahlias like it. To me, pastel colours just echo hospital waiting rooms. When I'm in my garden, I want to feel like I'm at a festival, that I'm having a beautiful, flamboyant time. So for me, it's oranges, scarlets. I'm drawn to pink, but it has to always be a deep magenta pink. There was one year where I used a lot of pink cosmos, and it was just too blancmange and trifle-like for me. I spent some time training as a gardener. I spent around a year at Kew, which was an incredible year, being immersed in palm fronds and bananas and that sort of other level of exotic planting. And I've taken that and I've inputted it in my own garden. I want to push the boundaries of what a container garden can be. It doesn't just have to be a hanging basket, which I can't stand at all. I'd much rather have a huge, monstrous pot like what you'd find at the entrance of somewhere like Kew, but by the door. The dolly tub was my mum's favourite possession, and I've inherited that from her. As well as dolly tubs, I use the old galvanised bins, the sort that a good strapping dustbin man would have had to put over his shoulder every morning. And they're fantastic, and actually they're a bit bigger than a dolly tub, so you can cram more into them. So a mixture of old, but always metal, never plastic. The typical dahlia is a very circus-like freak show at times. They combine colours, their shapes are very galaxy-like. The dahlias that my heart belongs to certainly are the single ones, which are like bright stars surrounding a very jammy middle of stamens and anthers. Their petals are velvet when they first open, and then they fade out a little bit, but they keep that beauty right until the last stage, really, and then they lose their petals and you're left with a horrible, wet little jellyfish thing that you have to deadhead straight away. Chickens were my first love. They're something that my brain had in it as soon as I had a mind of my own, and I find them hugely comforting. I treat them like they're dogs, really. Some are shy, some are quite bold, some are happy to be carried around like they're a chihuahua all day, and others don't want anything to do with you. So I've known a lot of chickens, and I'll always want them within a garden. I think they give huge animation and comfort to a space. It's quite hard keeping them in a town because of cats and dogs and foxes, but I get round that by having them in large aviaries in my nana's garden, and the hens come for a day out to do bug control and also to weed round the bricks. The beaks are very good at keeping dandelions in check. The pots have to work very hard because they have two main displays. I work the garden almost as a spring show and then a late summer show. So our first main show of the year is tulips. In each dolly tub in will go about 30 or 50 even tulip bulbs, and they go into the dolly tubs in like a layer, so one layer of early tulips and then one layer of late tulips, and that ensures that I get a supply of tulips for almost 2 months. And once the tulips go over, all the tulips get lifted, and then in go the dahlias that have been growing, ready to be planted in the dolly tubs. We often go to flowers first, but what I've learnt is it does pay to look at foliage even in an annual display first. So I'm growing much more grasses this year, so things like panicum, frosted explosion and red millet. Both of those grasses are very quick to grow from seed. They look beautiful, giving things a beautiful horizon above flowers or around flowers. And it's autumn now, so they're all starting to seed, and they're like having a living bird feeder within a pot. It's supposed to be for the blue tits. Watering every day when it's hot is pretty much vital, and when I say watering, I mean watering by buckets. And the reason I drench rather than sprinkle is because that water needs to go fully down into the base of that pot. It is a bit of a tie, but it is like, in a way, having an exotic garden, so it means I don't have to jet off to the Amazon or the Congo to feel like I'm in the jungle. I do have it by the door, so there's compensation. I do love to see a variety of pollinating insects in the garden, and this year that's one of the reasons I've chosen single dahlias as the staple flower. When we've had the warmer nights, I've been going out into the garden at about 9 o'clock. Often I do that to go on slug patrol, but as well as finding slugs, I've been finding sleeping bees who actually use the dahlias as a little bee hotel. So it's been wonderful finding a whole plant with a baby bee in it, asleep. And of course that bee can then wake up in the morning and have its breakfast straight away. The garden gets all the money that I have, without a doubt. I don't think anything wrong of spending £100 or so on tulip bulbs every year if it gives you that pleasure. So that means there's no designer wardrobe, but it does mean I have a designer tulip collection in the spring, and I know which I'd rather have. You forget yourself when you're in an exuberant garden, and it consumes you. It consumes you mentally, it consumes your time. It's about having a living thing that needs you, that is dependent on you, and that you have built, that you have put all your imagination into, and love and creation, and it just gives back time and time again, especially when you add cut flowers into the equation, because that means the garden can be taken into your home with you. It becomes a daily aspect of your interior as well as your exterior.
I really admire the way that there is a generation that is growing up wanting to have gardens, wanting to engage with the natural world, but not having much opportunity to do so, finding it increasingly difficult to get houses and gardens, and yet nevertheless they won't be thwarted. They are making beautiful gardens, and good for them. Now I'm harvesting the tomatoes, red and green alike, because they're not going to ripen anymore. And all the red ones will be made into sauce and then frozen. The green ones can be made to ripen by putting them in a dark drawer. Or even, I've taken whole plants up and then by the roots hang them from the rafters of a garage, and they do ripen like that. Now, it's time to go back and rejoin Joe and Flo as they are working on the community garden at Eastville Park in Bristol.
Today we've come to Bristol ready to offer our gardening expertise and green fingers to help a local gardening project.
They want to create a vibrant, colourful, inspiring, beautiful, relaxing community garden.
Lucky for us, the whole community is lending a hand to help this project grow. And I really mean grow. The raised beds will be overflowing with colour and texture from things like this crocosmia and rudbeckia. And everyone is getting stuck in to get them moved and planted up.
Yeah.
While Joe is cracking on, I'm helping some of the volunteers refurbish these old benches.
It's looking great now, isn't it?
I'm keen to know why a community garden is so important to this neighbourhood.
What do you think it means to the community, this kind of space?
We've lost pubs closing down, youth clubs are virtually non-existent. The resources available to local council to provide places for youngsters have just fallen away. And so, you know, we've got a community here that's made up of all ages, and we've really got to give them somewhere to come.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, let's get this bench finished, shall we?
We will.
Yeah.
Back in the garden, the volunteers have been getting all the flowers and grasses in position. And it really looks like the word has spread about our gardening goals, with local people turning up with homegrown plant donations.
Loads of plants.
There you go.
Oh, we've got more plants.
A few more. Barrow full of donated plants for you.
Oh, wow.
Beds over
Well, have you
here
grown
as
all these yourself?
These are all grown at home. Yeah.
At home?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Marvellous.
Lovely.
No worries.
Thank you very much. Nice one. Look, guys, more plants. Yay. That's what we want. Well, we've got a fantastic selection of plants here. I haven't chosen all of them, but it's my job to sort of put them together and make them look good. And really, I'm trying to create some privacy here. The idea is there's going to be a bench here, so create a little bit of privacy from that path over there. And these tall miscanthus grasses are absolutely perfect for that. We've got some great late summer, sort of early autumn colour here, things like the rudbeckias and the gaura here, and the grasses all combining beautifully together, and this fantastic crocosmia. And really, I'm just sort of drifting them through, thinking about heights and then colours, and I love the way this bed sort of steps down from one height down to the other. But we've got too many plants, which is only a good thing. So I'm going to put some in, try and be realistic. And the thing about raised beds is that things grow really quickly because they warm up in spring and there's plenty of nutrients in there, so this will fill out incredibly quickly. So I don't want to overstuff it. But at the same time, I want it to look pretty good from day one.
This garden is all about involving the whole community. And today, we've even got some pint-sized helpers from the local school.
Hi. Are you up for doing some gardening today?
Yes.
OK. We're going to be doing something very exciting. We're going to be planting some bulbs. What do you think they're going to grow into?
Onions. Flowers?
Not onions, but flowers, yes. OK, everyone got a handful of bulbs?
Yes.
OK, all right, so you ready? Ready. We're going to count, aren't we? 1, 2, 3. Let's go. Brilliant. Wherever they've dropped, we're going to make a hole this deep, so twice the size of the bulbs, and maybe a little bit deeper.
Let's go.
There we go.
Let's go. I got a really gigantic one.
Can we do that? Lovely. Pop it in, and then just cover it over with some soil.
While we've been busy burying bulbs, local artist Imogen has put the finishing touches to the garden artwork. And now seems like a good time to reveal her finished masterpiece.
What do you think?
Those look good.
That is what's going to happen here in the spring.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! It's going to be amazing! It looks so good!
Do we like that?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So this is going to be here all year round, and spring flowers will only come up in the spring. But this you'll be able to look at all year round.
And we're going to put that picture right here.
Yeah. Come on, let's put it in place. See what it looks like.
This is the best day of my life.
Wow.
Good job.
It works.
Yeah, it looks great.
With time running out, everyone mucks in for the final push. The raised bed is almost planted up. The newly renovated benches are put into position. And we've even included a little nod to the history of this site and the old bowling club.
Well, here you are, everybody. Look at this. This is your hard work. Wow. And it looks amazing. It's just a start. A garden is never finished, is it? No. But, I mean, the transformation in a day, you know, with the seating area and the raised bed and just the organisation of the garden as well. Do you feel like you can take it over and take it somewhere?
It's a start, but it's the beginning of something big, isn't it?
You've worked hard on it.
We have, yeah, we have.
Well, these guys have, he hasn't.
Yeah, no.
Joe, your guys have been amazing.
Everyone's really pulled together. It's been great.
Yeah.
We're really excited about now carrying on with more of the hard landscaping side of things.
That's our little section over there. What do you think?
Really good. I'm really excited about I can see in the spring.
It looks like everyone's bowled over by it. Hey, Flo?
Oh, no!
Oh, you've got to let me get a bad joke in every now and then.
This garden is all about creating a shared local space, somewhere to socialise, relax and learn about gardening. Maybe even take up bowling.
But at its heart is community spirit, and this lot are harnessing that spirit to make their local neighbourhood a better place. When you have that kind of people power, anything is possible.
I've been involved in the creation of a number of community gardens myself and visited many more all over the world. And they all share one really important characteristic, because as well as the exhilaration of creating them and the way it pulls everybody together, they have a much longer-term function. They're places that people can return to over the years, and people grow alongside the gardens. Now, talking about growing, I've got here some hydrangea cuttings that I took in the middle of August. So these have struck, and I know that they've rooted because we're seeing new growth there. You can see there's new little leaves coming from each of the cuttings. They won't have big roots, but if I pop them on now, they'll be ready to plant out sometime round about late spring. So if I just take this out and hope that there's some roots there. Oh, well, there are some. So you can see, there you are, little roots, and that can be potted up. Now I'm going to treat them very carefully. It's not the top, but the roots that I don't want to damage. Certainly, I would try with any hydrangea. Take cuttings, and once you start to accumulate quantity as well as quality, the whole way that you design your garden changes. You can either have them as drifts, you can have avenues, you can create a completely different effect. Now, avenues or great drifts may not be what you want to do in your garden right now, but here are some jobs that you can be doing this weekend. The seedlings of biennials such as forget-me-nots will be nice, strong young plants by now. So now is a good time to dig up clumps and then redistribute them where there aren't any, so next spring you get a much more even spread of plants. Now is the time to plant out Japanese or autumn onion sets. But if you don't have space on your plot or it's not ready, you can grow them on perfectly well in plugs. Use a normal peat-free compost. Put them the right way up with a pointier end at the top so that each set is half submerged in a plug. Then water them, put them somewhere sheltered, but they don't need any special treatment, and grow them on over winter. And then next spring, they can be planted out, roots and all. It's a good idea to sow some autumn broad beans, and aqua dolce is a particularly good variety at this time of year. Sow the beans in a double row, spacing each one about 6 inches apart. Then simply cover them over and leave them. And if the winter isn't too cold, you should get an extra early harvest. Do you know, when I woke up this morning, I immediately checked the weather, as I always do, and it said it was going to pour with rain all day long. I know it's going to be great. Rachel's going to come and it's going to be wet. So thank you for coming and bringing dry weather.
I arranged it, especially.
Yeah, well, you did well.
I did,
that was fine.
I did.
Rachel, it's been lovely to see you back here in the garden. Come back soon.
I certainly will.
And I'm afraid that's it for today, but I'll see you back here at Longmeadow next time. So until then, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.